And welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room, and I am doing my top 9 game of the month of May. So first, let me bring up our sponsor. We have a sponsor called Games and Couples, which is part of Oshrat Online Counseling, and they do couple counseling utilizing a lot of board games as a tool. And I just noticed my lights aren't on. Should I start again? Well, let's just turn them on, because it's nicer with the lights on. There we go. All right, so in the month of May, actually May was kind of slow for board game plays. I have played 31 times, which is still like once a day, so that's not bad. 27 different games, and that was 3% of my base collection. So let's get started with our top 9. So in number 9 position, this is a game that I had not played in a long time, and it's a classic. I think I'm glad we got to the table again, and that's Carcassonne. So we had the kids over, and then they were willing to play games, and then this was one that my son suggested. Like, let's play this one. We haven't played this one in a long time. So we had a blast with it. It's just a really neat, fun, straightforward game. So we played Carcassonne, and it made it the top 9. And then in number 8 position for the month of May was Happy Pigs. This was another suggestion from my son. This is probably one of his favorite game. He will recommend this one often. It's a economic game. It's an economic game. It's hard to tell that it's an economic game because it's so cutesy. But you have pigs. You're raising them. So you play through each season in the spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then you'll be buying pigs. You'll be feeding them so they get bigger. You'll be selling them. You'll be breeding them. And then there's a set price for pigs, but every once in a while there'll be a special event. They'll be like, hey, pigs can sell or buy at this higher price. So it's a good time to sell. But what's really interesting with this is you select the actions you want to do, and there's only so many of the different actions. So you can feed, you can breed, you can buy, and you can sell. So when they say, okay, well, I'm going to sell some pigs, it's at a higher price. So that's the action I'm selecting, and then it comes up and you flip over and like 2 people selected to sell. Now you have to split the amount of sell action that's available. So it kind of really controls how much you can do. Be like, great, I've got 7 pigs here. I'm going to try to sell them. Oh, you can only sell 6 of them. Okay, no problem. That'll be a good profit. Oh, we're splitting it. Now I can only sell 3. It's just a neat, cutesy, fun economic game. I really like this one. This, as I mentioned, is one of my son's favorites, so he pulls it out often. And that was number 8, Happy Pigs. In number 7 position, we have Onitama. I hadn't played this one in a long time as well, but this game is so good. This is the one I would recommend to anybody who enjoyed chess and wants to be able to play it. Because the thing with chess is it's an amazing game. People, if you know how to play chess, you love it, you enjoy it, that's great. But it's not always easy to find somebody who's as interested or willing to learn as you are. Because it is a complex game. Like each move differently. So Onitama is the best substitute for this one because it is so attainable to everybody, but it still has that neat strategic of chess. So you have your your persons, like you'll be red against blue, and you have your master and the 4 apprentice, and the goal is to either capture the other player's master or get your master into their temple. And it moves like chess, but what happens is you got 5 cards that's going to be in play each round. Now, there's lots of cards in this game. It's just you select 5 each round, and you get 2, the other player gets 2, and there's 1 in between. And then you'll decide. It shows like the black dot shows where, no matter which character you play, where they are and where they can go from what you're playing. So, okay, I'm here. I can either go up and over, or I could go sideways, or I could go backwards, but I can't because there's nothing behind me. So then be like, okay, well, I'm going to use this, and that one is the cobra. So let's say I'm doing the cobra and I'm moving over there. then you put the cobra in the middle and you swap it with the card that's in the middle, and that's the next card. So in your next turn, those are the two actions you have. And this is open information, so you can see what the other player has access to as well. And be like, okay, well, I'm going to move right in front of the master here. And they don't have a card that allows them to move forward or into this area, so I think I'm okay, then I'll try to attack the master. But then turns out another, like, it is very chess-like, but easier, and this is so much fun. I love this one. Onitama is amazing. Great game, and that's why it's my number 7. Then in number 6 position for the month of May is Cytosis. So this is a worker placement where you are playing in a cell. So the game board is a cell. The goal is to be the healthiest player. So in your different things you can do. So you'll be, collecting lipids, and you'll be collecting all these health biology related things, and then converting them and get enzyme, and kind of build all these things. And your workers are little vials from like a science lab, and it's great. It's so much fun. This game was gifted to me by the publisher, and it was funny because it's like, oh, we're kind of concentrate on more scientific games, and I was like, oh, like Cytosis. I was like, I've been wanting this one. And it's like, okay, if you want to pick one. And I was like, sure, let me see. I'm checking what they got, and they were the one that made Cytosis. I was like, how perfect is this? So got to get Cytosis finally, got to get it played. It's so good. And the board is double-sided, so you can play it on this 2-player game or the higher player count. So 2-player game is a little tighter. I'm interested in trying it at a higher player count. It was so cool, though. Quite enjoyed this one. Then in number 5 position is Acquire. So this is the oldest game on this list by far. This might be one of the oldest games in my collection. Now, the game I own isn't old. It was republished. But this game was designed in 1963. My dad was 3 years old when this game came out. And I'm so impressed with it. I'm blown away. I see why it's still around. And it's a building, hotel, bidding game. And it's... or stock game, and it's so good. So you'll randomly draw these cube tiles, and then it'll be like, okay, so I'm putting this one over, and you have a few, so you pick which one you're going to play. It was like, okay, well, I'm going to play one 1A, whatever, and then that'd be the top corner, so you have your 1A there. And when you create like a cluster of 2, you can then place a hotel on it. And if you create a hotel, because they're not in play yet, so if you create a hotel, you get a stock for it. Then at the end of each round, after you've done that, you can buy up to 3 stocks of whatever hotels is active right now. The only thing is, the stock prices depends of how big your hotel is. So as you add things making the hotel bigger, then the stocks are going to be more expensive. So you're buying them. But if a hotel ever starts and shares a side with another hotel, these hotels now get merged, and whichever is the biggest one is the one that takes over. So as it merges, if you have stocks of the little hotel that's going away, then you get to sell those stocks, or you could trade them for the bigger hotel that's taken over 2-to-1. But then selling the stocks, that gives you the money to be able to buy more shares. And then, sometimes you just kind of get strategically, okay, I'm buying a lot of this because this one's really big and it's about to come and take over here, so I'll have a lot to sell when it takes over. And it's neat. It is fun. I absolutely love this one. It's a simple, straightforward game, but it was so good. Hence why it's still around after all these years. 2 generations in my situation. But yeah, no, it's because 1963. It's so good. It is so good. I quite enjoy it. I'm glad I got my copy. Then in number 4 position, I have Holotype. So this is one that I purchased from Pimetaway. It was off of a Kickstarter that they had kind of received some retailer copies. And this is another one that's like scientific accurate. It's a worker placement, and you are a paleontologist, and you have a field assistant that's going to help. And then eventually, as you publish about your findings and the dinosaurs you're discovering, you're also going to get a paleontologist student join your team. Then you'd have 3 workers at that point. And you're collecting fossils so that you can publish about them and discover new dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs you discover will need fossils of different eras, and they'll require research token as well. And it's kind of one of those things. So you got the different location you can place your workers, and then if the spot is full, you can still go there. You're going to need to bump out a worker that's there, but a paleontologist can only be bumped by a paleontologist. You can bump a student with a paleontologist or a student, and then everybody can bump the field worker, the field assistant. So then sometimes it's like, okay, I hope somebody bumps me so I get my workers back. Otherwise, you have to do an action where you bring your workers back, and that will give you a research token, but it's kind of a wasted action a little bit. But it's so neat. You have all the information, all these dinosaurs, when they were discovered, who discovered them, where they were located. It is such a cool game. I really enjoy this one. I can't wait to play it again. We've played it a handful of times now, and it's just so good. Then, in my number 3 position is Railways of the World. This is, I really like this one. I don't know what it is about this one. It's like another stock game, kinda. Like, it's a train game. You're building trading routes, railroads, so that you can take goods from one location to another location that is accepting that particular type of good. And you have no money to start, so you have to buy bonds that'll give you money, and those are going to be counted as negative points at the end as well. But the more goods you deliver, the more income it produces. It is so good. And then I actually played the Portugal map, because when I bought this one secondhand, and guy I bought it from had a few extra maps. I'm not one to get lots of expansion, so if it had been left to me, I wouldn't own any expansion, but I have all these extra maps, so I might as well play them, right? So we played Portugal. It was really cool. This is just a fun game. I really enjoy like the pick up and deliver and the building the railroads, and then the bonds, and try not to take too much bonds, and then you have like your special goal that you're trying to accomplish as well. So good. The first time I got exposed to this game was actually Railways of the World, the card game version, and that was really good. And the board game version is maybe even better, and it's just so good. Then, in number 2 position for the month of May is Raising Robots. This one was mentioned in our top 100, maybe when my friend Travis and I made the list, and he was talking about this one, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like an interesting one and one I would like to try. So somebody was selling their copy on the Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, it's a sign. Let's go get it. So I got it, and finally just got it to the table this past month here. And the way that my friend was describing it was like, well, and I don't know how he was describing it at the time, but it's Wingspan meets San Juan, or Railways, or Roll for the Galaxy. And what's happening is you have your board, and you're building your engine, so every time you activate one of the rows, you get to activate all the cards that's in that row, like Wingspan. But the action that you get to complete is going to be depending on what you've selected, but also what the other person has selected, if there's any energy assigned to it. So you got the 2 actions, you're guaranteed you're going to be able to do it, but if there's another action that had energy, then you'll get to do that one as well. And like kind of enroll for the Galaxy depending on what's been assigned. So it was neat. It was so fun. The art's super cutesy, and you're like one of the major inventors, and you're creating robots in school and kind of for school projects. And the robots will activate and do different things. And you can kind of trade resources, and then collect resources, and then you use them to build the robots as well. It is neat. It is fun. It is cute. Super, and then like the gameplay is really satisfying with the combination of that kind of 2 mechanism. It's a winning combination. Then my number 1 game for the month of May, because I finally got this game, I got it played, and it was so good, and that is Skyrise. So good. So good. And then after I played Skyrise, I was like, okay, I want to play more of this type of game. And that's when I played Acquire. But first of all, this game is beautiful. I do have the deluxe copy, and you have these platforms that are the islands. And then you have the buildings that you're going to be placing, and it's not showing it here, but each of the buildings on the other side have a number. And it's a bidding game, so whoever starts to be able to take one of the building and put it next to one of the existing buildings and say, I'm bidding here, so and it's number 10, let's say, and then you would have to take one of your building higher than 10 and place it adjacent to that building that just got placed. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do 27 right here, so now that's the highest bid. Then the next player would have to play higher than 27 adjacent to my number 27 building if they want to outbid me. And you're kind of creating this area control, and you're collecting these tokens, and the tokens are going to get kind of accumulated on your player board, and depending on how many tokens, how much the buildings are going to be worth depending on which district they're on. The whole thing works so well. It is so satisfying. It's actually fairly simple game to play, and it's super simple to teach. But the strategy is like you got some very interesting decisions to make as you play, and it was so good. I just absolutely loved it. So here's the recap of all the games that made it into the top 9 games for the month of May. I'd be interested to see what have you played and what was your favorite last month. So be sure to follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I'm also on Instagram under Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a podcast that I do with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. And my YouTube channel, Mel's Board Game Room. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Bye.